and this is Free Minds Podcast, Season 3?
3.
Yeah. Move that mic closer, maybe. Season 3, episode. Ooh, yours is jacked up, too. This is a good start.
That's fine.
You can make it tighter if you want to.
I'm good right here.
We like tight stuff here at Free Minds. We were just talking about that. We are a podcast about bringing out the authentic self to the surface and having real conversations about consciousness and metaphysical stuff and how to make your life the vision you want it to be.
Absolutely. Based out of Atlanta, Georgia.
We are in the Atlanta, Georgia. And this is the beginning of Season 3, Episode 1. I'm here. I'm a host. I'm Trey Jackson.
And I'm Jon Nichols.
He likes... Oh, I won't make the joke.
I've already heard that one plenty of times. Thank you.
I know. It's all the bad puns. So, updates for Trey Jackson stuff. So, I do work in Atlanta. I am a intuitive coach, Reiki master, and I also work as a psychic. I work at a place called Clarity to Insight. If you would like to book me, just go to a website called thealchemistcompass.com. You can find out a lot more information there. I have one book out. It's called Evergreen. We are not the masks we wear. We are the light that shines through. A couple more books coming. Third one is going to be out early 2020. It's called The Alchemist Compass. It's going to be kind of like an oracle deck and a book combined. Should be pretty interesting.
Very fun.
So those are the things that have been happening while we've been gone.
It's been a while.
It's
good to be back.
Yeah, it's probably been since March. We did a little bonus episode, but
yeah,
it's been a hot second.
New studio here.
Hot second. It is. I guess it's a new studio.
New studio office.
Mm-hmm. It's good looking. If you could look out the window, you'd see that we are right on the river, on the Chattahoochee River in Atlanta, Georgia. So we are in touch with our emotions or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So what have you been, what do you want to talk about today?
I'm feeling anxious. I got all this anxiety going on. Anxiety is why we don't do stuff in the world.
Yes, it is. And I have plenty of experience on that subject.
But for real, anxiety can block creativity. Anxiety can block you from trusting yourself. Anxiety can just make you stay in your head and your mental body, so to speak. And you can't do anything. And we get stagnant and nothing happens. It makes us really doubt ourselves.
Depressed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think we kind of, on this podcast episode, we just want to talk about anxiety, and Jon has a personal story to share, just kind of, and how, I'll let you take the reins, but
yeah.
You get to have an episode now.
Yeah, it's funny. After all the seasons and all the episodes that we've done, never really talked about it. It's time. But yeah, I was just reaching out to you the other day. I was like, hey, I think this would be a good episode.
Yeah.
And it's taken me 31. It's taken me about 15 years to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time I've really sat down and talked to someone about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out there for the world. So it's...
Yeah.
I think it's good. Right?
The stuff that we have to work through and overcome is an example for other people.
Yeah.
Because everyone has to deal with anxiety. Everyone.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I'm willing and want to share the story to help people in the past. Help people in the future.
Help me, Jon.
Yes, So,
Give me a rope.
So it goes back when I was in 7th grade. So
middle school is the worst time.
Yes, 99 or 2000, early 2000, I think. Yeah. In 7th grade from the Northern Virginia area, right outside of Washington, D.C. is where I grew up.
D.C. is nice.
Yeah, it's a nice area. So grew up there. Went to, in that area, kindergarten through 6th grade is elementary school.
Were you in D.C. or were you right outside?
Right outside of D.C.
Gotcha.
McLean, Virginia. It's right about 10, 15 minutes right outside of D.C. So went to elementary school K through 6th grade.
Yeah.
Was completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the only place I knew. I was going through all my whole childhood. Yeah. Just went to this one school. Everything was fine. Made friends. Had a lot of friends. Felt really comfortable. Then middle school started. And middle school there is 7th to 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go 9th through 12th for high school. So go to this new school. And
that'll start it.
Yeah, that starts it. And was uncomfortable in a new environment. and never had any anxious feelings before.
Yeah. What so so you really don't feel like you'd ever experienced any kind of anxiety before, or just like are we talking like long-term anxiety, or you'd experienced short bursts of it maybe?
Not that I can, not even short bursts that I can even remember. Traumatic. I mean, I was so young at that point, right? I mean, sixth grade, he was up to, I don't even know how old you are.
Right.
What, like 10 or 11, 12?
I think it's 12.
Yeah.
I feel like
so
it's like
because I think you're 13 or 14 when you're in middle school. But I mean, like I was just too young to really know what it was about. I guess kids
don't really have it. I mean, when you're, it depends, but like.
I think it really starts when you hear a lot of
hormones.
High school kids, middle schoolers that start to develop anxiety disorders and such.
And well, let's talk about this, and then we can talk about the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. So started the new school, and I think it was like the first or second, third day of school, and I was sitting in my history class.
Yeah.
Again, new environment, new people, and we were in a middle school where it was a big district, so we had a lot of different elementary schools that feed into that. So it's not like you're just going to middle school with the same people you went to. You're going through all these new people from different schools come into this middle school.
Like how, like 1,000 or?
My graduating class in high school was about 500, so it was probably close to 500.
Okay.
600, new kids. So I go to this middle school, sitting in class, history class in the 7th grade, new environment. I remember we were doing some exercise on name the states, like fill in the blanks and name the states. And all of a sudden I got really anxious for like the first time ever. Quick breaths, sweating palms, and then I threw up.
Wow.
Right on my desk in front of a class of 20, 25 kids. But I look back at it, I can laugh at it. That's the funny part of it. But when you are a 12, 13-year-old boy in front of 20 to 25 students, in front of
Were you in
new
the back
students.
Of the class or the front? Or?
It was like the class was like a U.
Yeah.
So I was on one of the sides of the U, and it was like 2 or 3 rows. I still vividly remember it, and I think I was in the back. But regardless, if you just throw up,
like third day of school, that sets the tone for okay.
So now people remind me, that's the kid that throws up.
I was about to say, did you get a nickname?
Yeah,
because that would be the worst.
Yeah. So I'm starting a new school. The first thing people know about me is that I threw up, and nowadays, as an adult, no one cares. It's like, you just got sick, and you can use hungover excuse or something. But there, you have no excuse, and you're a kid, and it's terrifying. So I remember I went outside. At first I was like, I just got sick. I'm fine. I'll be fine. So
at the time, I don't know if you can remember what you were thinking. Yeah. This is so long ago, but was it like, why did that happen? Like, why did that just happen? These are all these new people.
Yeah, it was like, why did that just happen? I've never had that experience. But at the end of the day, you kind of know, he's like, I'm just anxious. Like, I'm nervous. Mm-hmm. And back then I was like, I'm nervous about something. I'm nervous about all these new people. But I didn't really feel it right after it happened. It was more just like, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I started to feel nervous more about
more
about the fact of what people would think of me, rather than, hey, is this going to happen again? I didn't know at that time. So I went home that night, or went home that day. I was like, I'm sick. I gotta go home. So my parents picked me up. I was like, I'm just sick, Yeah. So I go back the next day.
Yeah.
And
cat. I have a cat for new podcast listeners.
I threw up again, but I went to the bathroom first. Like, I was able to do that first. Okay. So I was like, shit, something's wrong. This isn't normal.
What's normal?
But I never experienced it before. So and then every day in the morning, it started to develop where I would get so anxious in the morning when I wake up, I didn't want to go to school.
Because you're anticipating this event.
Because I'm anticipating, I'm like, if I go... It got ingrained in my head, if I go and sit down in class, I'm going to throw up everywhere. It was kind of just like the routine. And
that's a traumatic event.
Yeah.
Like, people have their own traumas, and I know this is kind of a silly one, but that's a traumatic event.
Yeah. So
it leaves a scar in the subconscious.
So I connected like, okay, I'm at school and I'm nervous. So every morning I started to wake up and I'd get really nervous and I'd throw up in the morning.
Jeez.
The funny thing is, I would start to feel better after I threw up. It was kind of like validation, like, okay, everything's going to be okay. But I have to throw up first for it to happen.
You're also releasing, like, I mean, we talked about ayahuasca on this, but like when people go to Peru to do ayahuasca, they throw up a lot and they're releasing energy. So it seems like you're releasing the anxiety, you're releasing all of that anxiety in the physical form.
Yeah, so it's going away and it's like, okay, I'm calm now. Mm-hmm. And it became like a trigger. Like, in order for me to feel good, I have to throw up.
Which is an interesting mechanism. But I mean, everyone had their own mechanisms, I'm sure, because middle school's just it's the worst.
Yeah, but it got so bad to a point where I refused to even go to school. My parents.
I was going to ask, what were your parents?
They were like, I understand.
Yeah.
Why you're getting nervous, and so they started taking me to a psychiatrist. Went there. They put me on 2 medicines, clonazepam and Klonopin. Mm-hmm. Started taking those. I feel like, thinking back at it, they calmed me down, but I still had that trigger that I just talked about of, hey, I had to throw up first in order to like start my day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they called the guidance counselor in 2, and they were like, listen, you got to come to school. Like, you can't not.
Yeah. You're just like, shit.
Like, if you continue to miss days,
you'll have to retake.
Then you have to retake the class, like retake 7th grade. So,
and probably that didn't sound too good, did it?
It didn't sound too good, no. So I would, it just took time where I would continue to go in, and like before I went in, I would throw up. And my mom would take me to school, or I'd take the bus. But when I threw up, I was fine.
And that is, again, all of this anxious energy is coming up, and you're releasing the energy, and that's why it's working. But then what's the source of like the energy happening in the first place, I guess? And I don't know what happens and how you overcome this, but
it's a long overcome, and I think we'll get to that as I continue the story.
Cat, come here. Cat, come here. He's busy. All right. I got
So another interesting thing was like, I went through this routine of waking up in the morning and throwing up for a long time. And then for whatever reason, something triggered in my mind where it's like, if I drink a sip of water, it would relax me. So like I would throw up, and then I'd still, sometimes I'd be a little bit anxious, or like right before I threw up, I'd drink water and it would relax me.
Yeah.
So then it came into my mind, like I always carried around a water bottle, and this was like before people carried around water bottles everywhere they go.
Yeah.
So I started that. Thank you.
You're welcome. The world is going to thank you later.
So I would carry around a water bottle wherever I go, like at school. People would always be like, that's weird. But then I would like sip it, and I would feel like a rush.
Yeah.
It was like a shot, like a rush of adrenaline, like, okay, I'm going to be okay.
That is so interesting. And, okay, keep going.
So, I'd go to school, get anxious. And then this whole time, I would still get anxious, not just at school, but whenever I go out in public with my friends. Uh-huh. So I would go to a friend's house, let's say, to sleep over, and we'd eat dinner. And I would feel so anxious that I couldn't eat. And I think it was a reminder of like, hey, you're going to throw up if you eat. Because what would happen is I'd go over to my friends and I would eat. And then like immediately afterwards, I'd throw up. So then that developed into, okay, now whenever I eat out in public, I'm going to throw up.
Which is just another fun little trigger.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is not fun at all,
by
the way.
Exactly. So I have the school anxiety of like going to school. Then it developed into, okay, if I go out in public or I'm with friends, I'm going to have to throw up sometime. And then when I throw up, I'm fine. So like,
what about the water? Was the water not?
The water would be like a short-term trigger.
Okay.
Like, if I was about to throw up, I'd take a sip of water and then I'd be good for like
a little bit.
Yeah. Probably like a minute. And then it'd be like, okay, another sip of water. But it wouldn't. Sorry. Yeah. But it wouldn't solve the overall issue of I'm about to throw up anyways. And like it's gonna make me feel better.
This is this is what people do in life. They have a problem and they find a short-term solution and it doesn't solve the problem. And
so that was it. And so it developed into pretty much anywhere I'd go out in public. If I wasn't with my family, I would get anxious.
Yeah.
And I would have to throw up in order to feel better.
Family, it sounds like they ground your energy. You wouldn't get nervous with them. It'd only
yeah. So I feel comfortable. So like it would result in me when people are like, hey, do you want to go to this event or do you want to come over and sleep over? Like it got to an extent where I was afraid to.
Yeah.
I was afraid to leave the house. Or if I did, I had to know that there was an escape where I could go throw up and feel better.
During all this, do you feel like isolated because you can't?
Yeah. I'm like, why? You know, I'm just a kid still in 7th and 8th grade, and I'm just like, why is this happening? Why me? What's going on?
Yeah.
How do I get over it? That was the most frustrating thing. It was like, this is such a mind fuck. What do I do? Like, I'm taking the pills. I'm going to the psychiatrist, and it's still nothing is happening. So 7th and 8th grade go by. I still have, episodes pretty much daily. And then I have to switch schools again. And then this time you're going into a school. You're going to be a 9th grader. You're going to be with grown men out there that are 12th grade.
This has been happening for 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, all 7th and 8th grade. Anywhere I go out in public, I get nervous. I throw up. So I'd have to always make sure there was a bathroom around. Sometimes I would have to go outside and there was nothing. I would just puke outside. Like if I was at a sleepover and, we were...
I hope your esophagus is okay.
Yeah, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
I think. But so, go to 9th grade and it starts all over again. Real nervous.
Was there any reset or was it just immediate?
Just immediate.
Okay.
So first day of school, real nervous. Thrown up in the bathroom for a couple days, and then it got to a point where I was just too nervous.
Yeah.
And I stopped going to school for a couple days. Again, the guidance counselor was like, "You need to come. Blah, blah, blah. We'll make accommodations." I don't remember what those accommodations were, if there were any. But basically, it was the same thing. I would get anxious, and I would throw up and feel better.
Yeah. And
I would go out with my friends, and then you start to drive and all that. I got a girlfriend. I remember one episode where we just started to drive, and we got tickets to a Wizards game.
Okay.
So I was driving, and she was in the passenger seat, and I started to get really anxious going to like a new environment. So I remember I was like, I gotta throw up. So I tried to pull over, but I didn't really have anywhere to pull over. So I just threw up all over like the side of the car, inside the car, and my girlfriend was right there. And I was
had she seen this before? Did she know?
Surprisingly, no. I was able to hide it, and that was the thing. That was the biggest thing. It was like I was able to hide this from pretty much all my friends because I was embarrassed about it.
Yeah,
and like if I had an episode and like I threw up, it was usually in the bathroom, and I like excused myself, and no one would hear it. A lot of it was like just dry heaving.
Yeah,
because I had nothing in my system. I just dry heave
too.
Yeah. So like people wouldn't hear it, and like if I had an episode here and there around a friend, I'd just play it off like, oh, I just don't feel well. So like no one knew. That was this is the funniest part. Like no one of my friends did.
It's just when because people that are bulimic or whatever, there's all these people that have these things going on and they hide it.
Yeah.
And they hide it so well.
Yeah.
And no one ever knows.
No one ever knows. Yeah, exactly. And that's
what
how
does
it was.
It do to them? Like,
I think it's even worse.
Did it make you feel like you're missing part of yourself? It's just you can't if you can't be vulnerable and share this with anyone, like
and I can't be myself. Like I avoid people.
Or people would ask what's going on, like, and you can't tell them.
Yeah, you can't tell them. Like I was just a kid and just would be embarrassed of it. So you just have to hide, and then that leads to depression as well.
Yeah.
So I'd
100%.
be depressed as well because I would say no to certain things I knew I wanted to do, but I was afraid that I would have an episode in front of someone. So yeah, I hid it from my girlfriend. I don't think I've ever really told her. So if she's listening, my ex-girlfriend, she's listening, then she can hear that now.
Yeah.
But so went through high school.
So the car incident, she's just like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm sick.
And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
It's cool.
Yeah, and then like throughout high school, this whole time I was able to hide from someone. I'd just be like, if we were at a party or something and we were out with a bunch of people at a house, I'd just be like, oh, you're in the bathroom. And I'd throw up, and then I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And then I discovered alcohol, unfortunately, in high school.
That's a thing to discover.
Yeah, when I was in junior year.
I had some fun with alcohol.
Yeah. So that alcohol started my junior year, and we'd go over. A couple of us had fake IDs, so we'd just get beer, and we'd go over to a friend's basement.
Tall at this age too, so you could kind of.
What is that?
You were pretty tall at this age.
Yeah, so we could pull it off, and we had this spot. It was funny; they would accept anything, but we get a couple cases of beer, go to a friend's house in the basement and drink. We'd have friends over and drink, and I would do the same routines, like go to the bathroom. When everyone was there, I'd get really anxious. I'm like, oh, go to the bathroom. I'd throw up. It got to a point where, like, if you were trying to talk to me and I was having a panic episode, I couldn't talk, like, because I felt like if I was going to talk, I was going to throw up.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, like, if you were talking to me and I was having an episode, if I took a sip of water, I was good to talk to you for like another 30 or 40 seconds.
It's not funny, but I'm just
but it's like it's just the process.
It just feels ridiculous.
Yeah. Now that I talk about it, it's like, oh my God. As a grown man.
I mean, I'm glad you can laugh about it.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's funny to share it now. It's just like, because at the end of the day, like I'm telling the story where at the end of the day, like it takes time, but it takes time and it's going to take time, but at the end of the day, you can laugh about it.
But also like anxiety, that just shows you how powerful this thing is.
Exactly. Like I had these triggers in myself and I built a routine up where I could get around it, but it was just putting a Band-Aid on it. Yeah. You weren't really solving anything. This whole time I'm taking this medicine, it's like, I can definitely tell a difference, but I'm still having attacks.
Yeah.
So 11th grade rolls around, like I said, and we start drinking. And that was an escape now. That was kind of like,
I know about the escape.
Like I would still have my episodes where I had to throw up. But then after I do that, when I drink, I started to like drink a couple, like it would just completely numb me and go away. So that was kind of like the solution. Hey, if I can get over this anxiety and start drinking, like everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna laugh it off and it'll be good. Yeah. So I started to drink more, like just as a way to heal. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people do that. But
I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So, and it was bad, in 11th grade.
Yeah.
How old are you? Like 16, 17 at that point? But drinking and so I mean, we went through high school, started to drink to kind of heal it, and still have those episodes everywhere I went. So had those episodes, graduated, and then I went to Tennessee for college, and that was really the only college I ever wanted to go to.
Yeah.
So that was the spot. Like I was good. I was cool. I'm gonna go there. So I go there, and this cycle all starts again.
Ouchie, wow.
So now
man.
It's been
a long time.
That's what I'm saying. So
this is like it feels like genetic at this point or something. Probably.
Yeah. So I started in 2000, 2001, and then I go to college in 2000 and graduate 2006. So first fall 2006. So I've been dealing with this for 6 years now, 7 years. Still taking the medicine. Still going to psychiatrist. Go off to college. Switch psychiatrist there. Yeah. They give me the medicine. They give me through my therapy, they give me like breathing techniques, things that you can do.
The breathing might actually have helped.
They helped, but I think at that point it was just such a process now that I had
such a mental block.
Yeah, that it was like, okay, this may, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to do my routine. Went to college and got really anxious there, really anxious. Now that my parents still lived in Virginia, I'm going to Tennessee now, and I know no one. No one in or there are a couple of girls that went to high school actually, but I never really hung out with them, and they end up going to Tennessee. Yep. So I'm just out there by myself. New roommate. We didn't really share any hobbies. Funny thing is, he's like one of my good friends nowadays. Didn't really share any hobbies. He was from there. He knew a lot of people, so he would go out hang out with them, and I'd be in my room. So talked to one of my, I did like the whole fraternity thing.
Yep.
Went around and found a guy that actually went to my high school, a couple years older than me, in this fraternity. So he's like, hey, come join this. I'm doing this, like I'm rushing this fraternity, and I'm getting nervous doing the same routine.
Yeah.
And like nothing is helping.
Yeah.
And I'm around these new people, which triggers my anxiety even more. I'm around a new environment. I'm doing stuff at the end of the day I didn't want to do.
When it's getting triggered, is it more mental or physical, or is it just both?
Mental. I'm glad you asked that. It was mental, but it became physical.
Yeah.
Like when you have an anxiety attack, you're sweating, you're feeling hot, you're closing up, your lungs are closing up, your chest is closing up. So it would get to a point where I just wouldn't feel good.
You feel powerless to stop it.
Yeah.
Which is
I'd feel weak. So it definitely got physical. So I was rushing this fraternity, and I was in an environment around a bunch of new people, and it got to like just rushing a fraternity. It was like, I don't like any of these people.
Right.
I'm just forced
I know what you mean about rush.
I'm in this new environment. I'm forced to be around these people.
Yeah, talk about forced interactions.
Yeah.
I guess I'll drink and maybe it'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I just don't really like these people, and I just got really anxious about that, and really just started to get depressed, and I wouldn't go out.
Yeah.
That ended up getting so bad that I transferred. I transferred out of UT after my freshman year.
I didn't know those.
Yeah, I transferred out of Tennessee my freshman year. I went back to a smaller school outside of the D.C., George Mason. Actually, they were in the Final Four. People know them from that around that time. So it was a commuter school. I was like, okay, if I can go back home, everything would be fine. Like, I still have anxiety disorders there, but I still have some friends that are around that area. Mm-hmm. That'll be the solution. So I went back, and at that time, actually, my parents ended up moving to Tennessee, and I ended up moving back there. So they retired and moved to Tennessee, which was a long-term plan anyway.
Go back there. Yeah.
So I go to this small commuter school, and I live on campus there. Yeah. And I have another roommate that he's never there, and I just never clicked with him at all.
Yeah.
So I go back there. I'm like, okay, I'm getting comfortable with I'm meeting up with a couple of my old high school buddies, and we're having a good time. I'm feeling more comfortable. But I'm getting, still have those anxiety, panic attacks and stuff. But it's getting a little bit better now that I'm at home. And I'm feeling more comfortable in this place.
So location, the external environment, is making you feel more comfortable, and that's lessening the anxiety?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's still there.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see, like, okay, I'm not getting as anxious, but I'm still getting anxious.
Okay.
So I'm there, and this is when Facebook was like, I enjoyed Facebook and social media before it got like really intense. It was like, hey, this is only for colleges at the time. So I'm like looking back on my a couple of friends that I made at Tennessee, but I never really connected with them that well. But like I'm looking at their photos, I'm like, oh, they're having a good time. They're having a great time.
Yeah.
And I'm back there, and a lot of my high school friends still live with their parents. So they never really live on campus. So the majority of the time I'd just be sitting in my dorm room by myself playing video games. And I'd be on Facebook looking like, oh, look at my friends from Tennessee. They're having a good time.
Yep.
So then it just hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? I actually got in trouble at George Mason for drinking in my dorm.
Oops.
Funny coming from like Tennessee. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like,
we're
going to slap on the wrist. But I had to go to this whole like, alcohol class and why you shouldn't drink. Blah, blah. Did that. And then had some troubles with like an ex-girlfriend. Didn't work out, wanted it to work out. I think that was maybe one of the moves too that triggered me to go back. So now I'm at Mason and I'm just like, I don't think this was the right decision. And I'm depressed about it. And I'm still getting anxious, but not as bad as getting better.
Yeah.
So I spent a year there. So my freshman, spring semester, second semester went to Mason. And then the fall semester, sophomore year, I went to Mason. Mm-hmm. And then I was like,
just transfer back.
Yeah. I was like, this isn't everything I want it to be. This is just like high school over again.
And during all this process, it's just like I'm making all these decisions because of anxiety. All these decisions are being made because of something I've been having to hide.
Yes. Hide from everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
I still haven't told anyone.
Mm-hmm. Besides your parents, I guess.
Besides my parents. Yeah, they obviously knew. I haven't really told everyone. So I've been hiding this for going on 7-8 years.
It's crazy.
From everyone.
It's crazy.
No one ever knew. So, at Mason, a year gone by, and I'm just like, nothing's getting better from like a friend's perspective. Like, I'm not doing anything for myself. I want to transfer back to UT, and then I'll be in Tennessee, and I'll be closer to my family now, and actually move it out there. And I had like I'd been talking to like 2 or 3 friends from Tennessee, and they were like, "Man, come on back." Mm-hmm. So I like built up a really good rapport with them, and then so I transferred back. Mm-hmm. So I'm back at UT, and then I ended up pledging a fraternity that 2 of those guys that I talked to and kept close relationships with. I rushed that, and they were already brothers at the time, and they so it was kind of like. They were there to support me through the whole thing. They made you
feel welcome there?
Yeah, they made me feel welcome, which was good. And at the end of the day, I look back at it and I'm like, I think it was a waste of time in fraternity life, but I also made really good friends.
I have a few friends from fraternity life, but it's mostly nonsense.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I laugh like, I wouldn't do that again. But then I'm like, oh, okay, I have like 2 or 3 really good friends from that. So it was fun, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't do it again. Yeah. So go back there. I'm still having episodes. They're getting better.
Okay.
We'd go out to bars. Like we'd pregame at my place at Tennessee. And before we went out, I felt comfortable at my place. I started getting more comfortable. Like, oh, I'm gonna be fine at my place. People can come over and I'll be fine. But as soon as everyone in college does, hey, let's go to the bars. Let's drink at my place and then go to the bars.
So do you make a psychological because I feel like a lot of this is based on our belief systems too.
Yeah.
And it's like, I believe that I'm safe here. And then your body's like, oh, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah. And then
the body doesn't freak out.
Yeah. And then I'm going to take you out of that environment, but you're not going to be safe.
Yeah. And that's programming that we're creating.
So I would go, we'd be drinking at my place and then say, hey, let's go out. So I would be like, oh, real quick, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I'd throw up there. And then we'd go out and I'd be fine for the night.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of the routine in college. And then before any big test or any big presentation, I'd have an episode.
So this whole time, are you thinking this is going to be the rest of my life? Or
yeah, I was like, why isn't it going to continue to happen? This is now going on 7, 8 years, and it's like nothing. It's getting better here and there, but. Okay, I'll just be used to it. So that's just life.
So when does it start to change?
So, so another life changing state is I graduate Tennessee.
Yeah.
I applied for a couple jobs. The only really good offer I got was out in California.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I had a girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now. But I was like, we've only been dating for a year or 2. I'm just going to go out to California, do that whole thing. Went out to California. Got anxious first couple of days of work.
Yeah.
Same routine. But then I didn't really know anyone out there, and I was living in an area where it wasn't really that good, so I'd just stay at home, and I didn't really have any friends. So I'd just be comfortable all the time because I was just by myself.
Comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a bad way, though.
Yeah. But
because I was just by myself.
No anxiety, though, right?
Yeah. I was no anxiety. I was like, I don't have to go there.
Yeah.
I don't have to get anxious. I can just sit in my room, play Xbox all day, and I'll be fine. So it's kind of avoiding all these issues. So I spent a year out there, and then I decided I'm going to move back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
To the East Coast, and I ended up doing it. When I got back to Atlanta,
have the episodes happened at all since you moved out to California, or is it just
they were happening in the morning.
Gotcha.
I'd wake up and then but they were getting less and
still
less because it's still a thing, but throughout the years they were getting less and less, and I felt a little bit more comfortable as they go. So a big component of it just took time for me. But so I go back to Atlanta, set up, I'm still seeing a psychiatrist out in California. Go to Atlanta and I start seeing a psychiatrist to get refills on my medicine. At this point, it's just I don't really need a psychiatrist. I just go there for the last couple of years to just get refills on my medicine because it was kind of just another if I have this medicine, I'll feel a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, as soon as I pop this pill, that anxiety feeling went away. Mm-hmm. And I was like, medicine doesn't work that quickly.
No, it's psychological.
So I went to the doctor and he was like, I was explaining everything to him. And he was just like, eventually you're going to have to get off this stuff.
Yeah.
It could have long-term health implications. So you have to get off of it eventually. So that was kind of nervous to do that. So he slowly started to reduce the dosages and the pills. So I got off one, slowly reduced the dosage, and then I got off one pill and then the next one. But it was difficult because, like I said, it was where I would take it and then make me like feel better instantly, just like something like that. So I would, so I eventually got off the medicine, and I was nervous first couple of days of work at my new job in Atlanta, and I'd have these episodes. I got off the medicine. Slowly, I noticed things would get better. I could go out to eat with a group of coworkers and not get nervous before I ate.
Interesting.
And I could go out in public and not get nervous. So it just slowly started to get better as I got off the medicine.
And are you thinking about it a lot while this is, or is it just like, I'm cool if I'm not going to get nervous? Like, that's cool with me.
Yeah. So it was like, it was almost like, hey, wait, why am I not getting nervous?
Right.
What changed?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking of a way. It's like, okay, John, you're older now. Like, what's the worst that happens? You throw up.
Yep.
Okay. As a kid, you think that it's traumatic. You're like, you're going to be known as Barf Kid the rest of your high school career.
You don't want to be Barf Kid.
You don't want to be that. Here, I could laugh about it as an adult and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm hungover. Or like, oh, I just don't feel well. I want to go home. No one
cares.
No one cares. So I started getting less and less nervous, started noticing in situations where I would get nervous, I don't get nervous anymore. So going out to eat with a group of employees, traveling to new places for my job, I didn't get as nervous. So I moved to Atlanta in 2011, the beginning of 2011, it's 2019 now. And I don't feel really anxious ever. Yeah. Besides, I still do get a little bit nervous if I have to make a presentation or something.
Oh, that's normal.
Normal, yeah.
Everybody gets nervous before that.
I get a little bit nervous now before I go travel.
Yeah.
Just things go through my mind of like, I got to do this, I got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 10 years ago, like going out to eat with you, I'd probably get nervous.
So like, it seems like the healing, we'll call it healing.
Yeah.
But it seems like it stopped because we stopped analyzing what if. We stopped saying, what if this happens?
Yeah.
We stopped saying, well, what's the worst? I throw up.
And I think
and
growing up and being an adult and having that adult mindset as a grown-up, you start to realize like, hey, there's a lot bigger things that are going on that I need to worry about in my life.
But this is so interesting because like everyone has these childhood triggers.
Yes.
Everyone has these childhood traumas, and this was a big one, but a lot of them are smaller and they seep into our subconscious. We don't really know it's even a part of our personality, the way we react to situations.
Yeah.
Until we're like noticing, well, why am I reacting this way? Yours was much bigger and it's in your face, so you have to deal with it. But it was there because I throw up, I get embarrassed, everyone calls me Barf Kid.
Yeah.
Like, and that is now instilled in your subconscious. It's in your DNA. It's in your vibration as a person.
Yeah.
And it can't change until basically, and this is the same way with fear. Fear is tied to anxiety too, because we're fearing something.
Makes sense. Yep. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Anytime we're scared of something, anytime we're fearing something, it's like, well, the fear is trying to protect me from something. That's the only reason the fear is coming up, the anxiety. It's trying to ramp up my nervous system and say, we fight or flight, whatever. It's saying, I have to protect you and keep you safe. And many of us walk around with fear or anxiety because our mentality as a child was, well, I have to keep myself safe. So I guess we get nervous so that we can be in fight or flight to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what, the animal part of us would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your energy got ramped up so much that like it literally made you physically ill.
And that's a testament of what the mind can do. And that's scary if you don't know how to control it.
I'm glad you freed your mind, man.
Right? Yeah. So this is what it's exactly about, freeing my mind. So, and I tell this story not because not because I want people to feel bad for me, not because I tell this story because there's millions of people going through the same issue.
I was about to say, if this is happening to you, I guarantee freaking you it's happening to a bunch of other people in terms of just anxiety causing physical symptoms that we feel like we can't control, and then we're overwhelmed, and then we just do nothing.
And whether you're an adult, whether you're a child, whether you're a teenager, whether you're in college, whether I experienced this for close to 15 years of my life.
Yeah.
Whether you're whatever age you are, you're always going to think, and I thought this, like, when is this going to end? What's going to happen? Like, this is never going to end. It's going to. For me, the whole healing process took time and maturity. I just grow up.
Coming to terms with some things too.
Yeah.
I think being like, no, you found the source. I don't know if you found the physical source, but like when you said, well, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because now the worst that's going to happen isn't a big deal. Back then, as a child, it seemed like the world.
Yeah.
It seemed like the world. And when something feels like it's the world, then you can't fuck it up.
You can't. And I think the one thing that really helped was I was put in situations where I had no other choice but to run into this head first. As a child,
he looked up your hand. Cat. He has to pet the cat now.
As a middle schooler, as a high schooler, I could avoid going out in public if I wanted to. Mm-hmm. College to an extent, I could avoid that.
Yeah.
I could sit in my room all day and not put myself in these situations where I get a panic attacks. Mm-hmm. As an adult, when I got a job and when I had to interview, when I had to present, when I had to go to dinners with clients and stuff, I was forced in those. And I think that at the end of the day was one of the reasons why I got over it. It was just like, I'd go to these things, I'd get nervous, and then I'd slowly start to go to more, and I would feel better. And then at the end of the day, I'd look back and be like, yeah, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I urge people to put yourself in those situations, in the situations that make you feel uncomfortable. And I think that goes well with life in general.
And see what happens. Because it's probably not going to be as bad as it looks in your mind. It's probably, and whatever it's feeling in your body, it's just...
It's the repetition.
It is definitely the repetition. It's building the new habit, building the new neural pathway in your brain to respond a different way.
And it applies to pretty much anything you do in life. If you want to go run a marathon, what do? You don't just... all of a sudden one day,
because I'm a crazy person, but
for the majority of people, one day they just don't wake up and say, I'm going to run a marathon and everything's going to be okay and I'm going to be fine. You run, you train, you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations of having to run, and you may not want to do it, but you do it. So it's kind of like the way I apply that to my scenario was I had no other choice when I was in my professional career. I had to put myself in those situations.
And we experience fear in many other areas in terms of putting ourselves out there, trying something new, trying to start a business, whatever.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before the podcast, actually, in terms of I take ice cold showers each morning.
Yeah.
And I do it because I need, and Tony Robbins talks about this a little bit too, but I need a task that is non-negotiable, that I'm just going to go do it. And I'm not going to have a conversation in my head where I negotiate the terms.
You just do it.
I'm just not going to have it.
Yeah.
And I know it's Nike's stupid slogan, but like, I even like sometimes when I get in the shower, my feet are cold. I'm just like, I'm walking into the water and I just say it out loud so that I just do it, because I'm not going to, for some reason, verbalizing and vocalizing moves that stuff out of my brain and into the environment. And it's like, well, if I'm saying it, then I have to do it or something.
Yeah. That's funny because it relates to something I just read. I read this small book the other week. It was called Make Your Own Bed, and it's actually pretty interesting. Have you heard of that? So it's a high-ranking official in the military wrote it, and the reason he wrote that book, it's based on a graduation speech he gave to Texas University a couple of years ago, and in that speech he pretty much just gave like 10 life lessons, And one of them, which the title of his book, was Make Your Bed. And the reason every morning, make your bed, you get a sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. So the first thing you do is make your bed, and you feel great because you have accomplished something right off the bat. And that gives you the mindset going into your day saying, okay, I kicked it off with a bang. So I feel like that shower thing relates to, it's like, boom, do it, and I'm good. Like, I accomplished this already.
You feel very accomplished when you can stand in ice cold water and breathe.
Exactly.
And you get used to it, and it actually doesn't feel as cold. Yeah. It's just overcoming that initial hurdle, that initial fear of, I don't want to get in ice cold water. And this is what everyone tells me when I mention this technique. They're like, I'm not doing that. It's just like, no. And I'm like,
you're comfortable.
I'm like, I want to make myself uncomfortable because I know I'm going to be okay. I know nothing bad's going to happen if I get in an ice cold shower.
That's huge. And you do that every day. So you start your day with an uncomfortable task, and that's huge. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to start your day.
And it's like, what? My shower is like 8 minutes. Yeah. It's not that bad.
It's not bad. That's a long shower. But
I don't know if it's 8 minutes. It might be. I feel like that actually is a pretty long shower for a guy.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole not theme, but like we just talked about, like the way that I overcame it.
Yeah.
Takes time. It takes putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and that applies in life.
And just, I mean, if we want to just talk about the metaphysical part of it for a second,
absolutely.
Like, it's literally mental, and then you can feel it in your body becoming physical, and then it creates a literally merging with your physical, like your stomach, like, and you have to purge up this energy, and it started up here. It started in your head, and it's just,
so it was triggered event in my head.
Yeah.
Boom, it goes down.
Yeah. It becomes physical.
Tight chest, sweating.
And this is how,
feeling of I'm going to throw up.
This is how like cancer forms too.
Yeah.
People block their emotions for years and years and years. And if you block an emotionally, you think it's just in your head, or you think it's just your emotions. No, it's going to become your body.
Yeah. So take care of yourself.
Yeah. Not to get super negative to like towards the end of this, but
no,
this is just what happens, right? This is
life.
This is why we pay attention to, okay, what's going on in my head? What is the source of the stuff that's happening? Okay, can I look into the future a little and say, well, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna get cold in my shower. Oh, I'm gonna throw up, and people are gonna be like, oh, John's sick today.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, John's been sick for 7 straight days, but that's whatever. John's just being John.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I feel like I could, if I were to get sick, I could say, sorry, I'm just anxious. It's not that big of a deal.
And then now that you've done this podcast, everyone's going to call you Barf Kid. It's going to be the worst.
I can laugh about it now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, so like ever since I've gotten over it, and ever since I've gone through this whole journey, that's almost been 15 years, it's just, I try to continue to put myself in uncomfortable situations where I can.
Right.
So like at work, and if like, hey, you want to present, or you want to,
mm-hmm.
you want to do this that you're not used to doing, I jump on the opportunity, and I kind of use that as a theme now.
And that's a muscle
in my life, ongoing. I'm like, I'm not gonna let my mind fuck with me anymore.
Good.
I'm not gonna not do things because my mind can't overcome it. So I kind of turn it into a game where it's like you can overcome that.
Yeah.
Like you can do that. Like screw that. Prove to your mind that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do that. You may not feel comfortable, but at the end of the day, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Doing uncomfortable things is so healthy for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I did stand-up comedy. That's why I've done so many things. I'm like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
My ego will deal with it. Like if it's because it just doesn't matter. My identity, my ego, people don't care. Like they just don't. And the sooner you realize that really no one really cares. Like they do care, but like your close friends care.
Yeah.
Not the random people.
Yeah. And that's kind of something I wish I knew back then.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, I'm sitting in my middle school, I'm sitting in my high school, like anxious as hell, like can't concentrate. I want to throw up. I wish I knew back then. No one cares, dude.
No.
And if they do, they're gonna make fun of you
because they want to look good for a day.
Yeah.
They don't because they're not Barf Kid.
Yeah.
And they have to point out, I'm not Barf Kid. I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And like, you helped some people not be Barf Kid, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And like that's what I wish. I hope if someone that's listening to this that's younger. That's in high school.
Sorry, we dropped all those F-bombs.
Sorry. But, it's in high school or in college or even an adult that's going through this. At the end of the day, step back, take a breath, and just no one cares. Think of it that way. No one cares. At the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You have a lot more to do in your life than worry about that.
No one cares can be really empowering.
Yeah.
Because it means you can actually do whatever you want with your life. And you can do the thing that's going to make you happy. You can do the thing that's going to make you uncomfortable for a second. But if that leads you to a fulfilling life, then be uncomfortable for a second.
And unfortunately, I think times have changed a lot in these 15 years where anxiety and depression has gotten worse from what I've read about it just with the whole social media fad. And
that's
I think that's... I mean, I'm not on social media. I haven't been on in 10 years, but
I have the business account.
Yeah,
it's like
I feel a lot better not having that negative energy in my life.
It's just
it's
comparison trap.
Yeah,
mostly it's like, what are they doing compared to me, or is their life better than mine? Are they doing this thing better than the person's doing this presentation then in an art gallery? I'm jealous. Like it's all jealousy and envy a lot. I mean, it depends on what we do with it. It can be very empowering. I can be very happy for those people too. But I'm not in the social media game either. It's just,
man, could you imagine how worse my anxiety would have been if we had social media? If I had a Twitter and I had just thrown up my first day of 7th grade and then all those kids were posting that and
I can't.
Probably had their cell phones in class and would take a picture of me and posted it.
Middle schoolers have cell phones, probably, don't they?
They do. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge issue these days, depression and anxiety, and I think social media doesn't help that. I think it makes it worse to an extent when you're that child and your mind doesn't think the way you do as an adult.
100%. My cousin... we're going to close this episode down.
Yep.
My cousin has some young kids, and they were getting on the iPad around age 2. Which, by the way, John's a daddy now for everyone on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. I had a son in April. A child, a son. So like kids using social media and thing, I could go on forever on that.
Be good with your kid and teach them.
Limited times. I think it's definitely important for children to learn the technology, but
and then that's all another anxiety conversation. But this has been a good episode on just like, I think it's a unique example of something that's not really publicized in the media at all, about people having these kind of anxiety attacks and how it can be detrimental to their person and their life. And like, thank you so much for coming on and I know you're part of the podcast, but for sharing this story. Sharing
that, I mean, we've known each other for years, and I don't think you've ever known that. And it is something that I've kept a secret from pretty much everyone.
Shared it, and nothing bad happened.
Nothing bad happened. I think, if anything, I feel better now that I've shared it.
Mm-hmm.
That I hope, and I know it will. It'll help. It'll help at least one person listen to this.
If it helps one person,
that's all that matters.
That's literally all that matters.
Just know that you are not going through it alone. Millions and millions and millions of people are experiencing the same issues that are also very private about it. But also know that the only cure, in my opinion, is time.
Time and, your personal resilience.
Personal resilience, time, focus.
And the belief, I guess
mental
focus.
You can do stuff. I think definitely meditation and breathing exercises definitely do work. So there's stuff you can do on that end, but at the end of the day, just understand that it's going to take time. It took me almost 15 years.
Yeah.
It's going to take your time and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Get yourself out there. Don't run away from it.
Right.
Run toward it. With an attitude of, I can defeat this.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll happen eventually. That's how it happened with me. It just happened eventually. Slowly, I started to see it get better.
And understand and accept okay, this anxiety is trying to protect me. It's trying to do a good thing. It's just out of balance.
It's out of balance.
When it comes into balance, I'll be fine.
You'll be fine. And I was. And I freed my mind.
Cool beans. That's a good way to end this.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Outro. Peace out. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you for listening.
We more episodes to come. Season 3. I got more than a few guests lined up, and keep tuning in. Super duper duper appreciate y'all listening.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Take it easy.